This is your flexibility guide for Gaelic football. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you exactly how to massively improve your flexibility in a way that makes you a far more powerful and injury-proof athlete. In very recent years, David Clifford has popularized flexibility a little bit in Gaelic football, as we see his enormous flexibility in his hamstrings and hip flexors when he's kicking and the unique follow-through technique that he has. But I can honestly say that I've been putting a massive emphasis on flexibility and full range of motion strength training for over 12 years now. You can ask the players. I was training long before David Clifford was even minor. It's massively important, and if you want to fully express your power, your strength, your kicking or your sprinting, if you are very, very tight, the opposite of flexible, it's like kicking a ball with skinny jeans on. It's like doing sprints or jumps or turns with skinny jeans on. The strength and the muscle might still be there and the power might still be there. It's just going to feel very, very difficult to access it. You're going to feel very tight, and all this ability that you have is going to be constricted because of the lack of movement or mobility in your hips. Personally, I've never been injured once, and I put that down to the flexibility and the full range of motion strength training. I've squatted 170 kg at the 81 kg body weight, bench pressed 130 and RDL'd 170 kg for 5, never injured. I've ran 7 ultramarathons, including 270 kilometers the width of Ireland in 4 days and 100 kilometers the width of Mayo in 17 hours. Never been injured. I've learned gymnastic skills which are notorious for injuries and flexibility issues. I've never been injured. But doing it on myself or any coach doing it on themselves isn't all that impressive. It's nice, but it's not that impressive. The most impressive thing I've done is massively improve the flexibility, the techniques of hundreds and hundreds of people over the last 16 years. So many case studies, so many videos of people squatting and deadlifting and doing pull-ups with perfect technique when they couldn't do them at the beginning. Loads of video evidence, loads of before and after squats. And in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to understand, and it's very simple to understand, and how to massively improve your flexibility in a short period of time. In my opinion, flexibility is the most misunderstood part of strength and conditioning. And people don't understand nutrition or even strength training that well. So it's seriously misunderstood flexibility. And to be honest, even though I'm coaching for 16 years, it's 2026 now. 2020 was really the year where I fully focused on flexibility, started doing 3 one-hour flexibility sessions a week, and I was amazed at how much I didn't know. And a lot of it, very simple stuff, but I just didn't know it, I didn't fully experience it. So my techniques were already pretty good, but once I started doing the flexibility, I hit my biggest ever lifts on the squats, deadlifts and bench press. And that's not a coincidence. So a clear definition of flexibility is, can you do the main strength training exercises, the 8 exercises that I always talk about? Can you do them with full range of motion, pain-free, with great technique? And not just with an empty bar. Functional movement screening, FMS, it's very popular with some people, but most of it is complete bullshit, to be honest, because doing things with an empty bar, it's been shown that even advanced and people who medal at the Olympics, like Dmitry Klokov, are poor at functional movement screening, but when you put a heavy bar, they can do it completely fine. So not a big fan of functional movement screening. It's completely bastardized and you can't really standardize flexibility in that way. So can you do the main strength training exercises with full range of motion, great technique, pain-free? That is the ultimate test of flexibility. If you can do them, then you are very flexible. Also, it's worth pointing out that it's a complete myth that stretching or static stretching will make you less powerful or less explosive athletes. That myth was out there for a long time. I believed it at the beginning of my strength and conditioning career. It's a complete myth. Static stretching, getting into these extreme end ranges of motion, is going to help you be a far more powerful athlete. There's very few athletes on the planet that are as explosive as Olympic lifters or gymnasts, and they do a ton of static stretching and loaded stretching. So if I wanted to get myself way more flexible, the first thing I do is take a few tests, if you want to call them tests, to see exactly where you are. So I would video these 5-6 exercises and then you'd have a clear picture of how good or how bad your flexibility is. And the tests are knees over toes split squat, so a full range ATG knees over toes split squat, the way knees over toes guy has popularized, or Charles Poliquin used to use back in the day. Get a good video of that from the side. An overhead squat can be just with a broom if you're a complete beginner to that movement, but an overhead squat. Push-ups, parallel push-ups. If I see a client do parallel push-ups, I can usually see pretty well what their flexibility in their shoulders is like. A pull-up, so can you hang off the bar for 60 seconds, for a minute with the pull-up grip, a dead hang, and also if I watch someone's pull-up technique, I'll be able to see what their shoulder flexibility is like very, very clearly from that. A standing pike, so very simply, can you reach down and touch your toes? That's what a standing pike is. From a standing position, legs dead straight, can you reach down, touch your toes, put your palms on the ground? And an overhead press. With a dumbbell or a barbell, doesn't really matter. Seated or standing, they'll all tell me a lot of information about your shoulder flexibility. So if you video those 6 exercises, which is exactly what I do with all my new clients, I get them to send on videos of those, and they're usually on the first programs that I send to each client, those exercises. I'll have a very clear picture of what their flexibility is like, what their range of motion is like, and most importantly, what they need to do next to fix it. So moving on to what it actually takes to fix or improve your flexibility, to get you to be able to do all those movements full range of motion. So the most important thing I want you to remember from this video when it comes to improving your flexibility is strengthen and lengthen. If simply stretching alone was enough, then yoga teachers would be incredibly powerful athletes. But we all know yoga teachers, they're very flexible. They're not the most powerful athletes in the world. However, if you combined yoga or that type of flexibility, static stretching, with extremely heavy lifting relative to your body weight, you'll get a far more explosive athlete, and it's going to be far more impressive, the flexibility. So strengthen and lengthen, not just static stretching, not just making yourself strong, but a mixture of the two. And you don't have to go overboard. Just like there's unbelievable amount of great exercises to be doing in the gym and variations of the main exercises, there's an unbelievable amount of great stretches, but you're not going to be able to do all of them. So you have to focus on the ones that are most relevant to you. And I'm going to be teaching you exactly what those ones are throughout this series on flexibility. So to improve your flexibility, you have 3 things. You can do full range of motion strength training. I have seen many people get dramatically more flexible, dramatically increase range of motion just by starting off with maybe bad technique or poor short range of motion strength training and just gradually increasing it over time. As long as you're not loading up a very heavy weight, it's perfectly fine to start off doing techniques with Bambi legs or tight hip flexors or whatever else. If you're just squatting with a dumbbell or a kettlebell, you can start off with your poor technique and poor range of motion. Just focus on increasing an inch or 2 range of motion every week. Just like when you're focusing on strength, you focus on adding a few reps or a little bit of weight each week. So full range of motion or making a big effort to increase range of motion, strength training is an excellent way to get strengthened and lengthened in all of the muscles across your body. The second most important thing is stretching or loaded stretching. Some of these are very static, very easy, passive stretches, and they are a valuable tool when it comes to increasing your range of motion when you go back into the gym for strength training, or when you're kicking or sprinting or jumping out on the pitch. You want to be able to do those movements without tearing or pulling something, like the skinny jeans example we were talking about earlier. So static stretching, you'll all be familiar with them. It's very simple to look at, but a lot of people don't apply it properly. Again, myself included. Static stretching needs to be balanced in the same way strength training is. And I only learned this in 2020, but let's say, for example, you wouldn't do a chest exercise without doing a back exercise. You wouldn't do a quad exercise without doing a hamstring exercise. It's the same goes for stretching. So a lot of people, just like they have muscular imbalances left to right in terms of strength, they also have muscular imbalances left to right or front to back when it comes to flexibility. And figuring that out in 2020 when I did an online program with someone called The Flexible, Jeffrey Wolf on Instagram, I recommend you check him out. I did this course for 6 months on flexibility. It was unbelievable. And it allowed me to understand flexibility in a far deeper way. And I've been able to help clients improve their flexibility so much faster since that, following that training program. And the third part of becoming more flexible is mobility drills or warm-ups. Now, I don't want you to be a fucking warm-up merchant. A lot of people are mobility exercise, mobility drill, activation drill merchants, and they never actually do the hard stuff, which is the full range of motion strength training or the static stretching, which can be very painful and uncomfortable. They're always doing these mobility drills, which are, most of them are complete fluff. Now, when it comes to which one of these I do the most often, it's probably mobility drills. I love mobility drills. I think they're absolutely brilliant. I do one every single morning when I wake up. I have been doing for years. Before I work out, I do one called the lower back magic, and another one I like to call alarm clock mobility. And I feel amazing after I do them. They get blood flowing, but they don't have any lasting impact in the same way that full range of motion strength training or static stretching do. A mobility drill is a very quick fix to get you blood flowing and to get you feeling a little bit better, but it doesn't have any lasting change in the way that the first two can. And finally, to start finishing up, gymnasts and Olympic lifting, that's where you'll get all the best flexibility advice. There is flexibility and mobility exercises and drills and advice that you'll get in powerlifting, in bodybuilding, in CrossFit, in strength and conditioning. But to be honest, from all the research I've been doing across so many sports over the last 16 years and picking the best from each, the absolute best information on flexibility and range of motion and static stretching comes from gymnastics and Olympic lifts. They get themselves very, very flexible and very explosive. And you can apply so many of the lessons from flexibility from gymnastics and Olympic lifting to Gaelic football, and that's exactly what I do. I do the Bruce Lee thing, absorb what's useful, discard what's not useful, and add what is uniquely your own. I've been doing that with all sorts of sports and all sorts of strength training disciplines for over 16 years now. When it comes to flexibility, my information comes from gymnastics and Olympic lifting. So to finish the video with some powerful advice, which is going to make you have far better flexibility and dramatically improve your range of motion very, very quickly in the next month. If you just sit in a deep squat for 3 minutes a day, preferably 3 minutes in a row, for the next month, along with doing the hip flexor stretch, the couch stretch, I want you to do 2 minutes each side every single night. So you have the deep squat hold, you have the couch stretch, and then the last one is just hanging off a pull-up bar. If you do that for, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes a week, so preferably for at least 1 minute after all your gym sessions, those 3 things are going to put you in the top 1% of flexibility and range of motion with Gaelic footballers. Just those 3 exercises or those 3 stretches alone will put you in the top 1%. That's how poor range of motion and flexibility is with Gaelic footballers. If you couple those 3 things with, in your strength training sessions, aiming to get a little bit deeper and a little bit more range of motion each time you go to the gym, you'll see massive flexibility gains very, very quickly inside just 1 month. So take your tests, start doing those 3 drills and start testing yourself and challenging yourself for that extra bit of range of motion, and you will not believe the difference that that makes in just 1 month. Let's go.